Hi all, welcome to another video. We're going to show you our first lesson in our instrument rating taking place in the flight sim. This way we can go over the basics before we get you in the air in a real plane. If this video is a little bit too entry level for you, we have plenty of videos on our channel going over all sorts of things in the instrument rating. So without further ado, let's get started.
So whenever we start the plane up and go to do our normal pre-flight or pre-taxi checklist, we'll run through all that. We'll do our safety thing. We'll get our GPS set up, transponder. We'll do all that checklist up. Then we're going to do our instrument cockpit cross-check.
Okay.
All right. So like this will be, we taxied out outside the T hangars, and now we're just going to make sure that all of our instruments are good. So in VFR flight, we just really make sure that everything is working and doesn't have any red X's. But now we're going to do a little bit more in-depth check because we've got a couple more requirements here.
Okay.
So how I like to do this is we're going to start from the top left of the screen, work our way to the right, and then we're going to come middle right, down right. We'll check our standbys, and then we'll work our way over here to the MFD and check our GPS. So nav 1, nav 2, not going to be as applicable in stage 1 and stage 2. But once we start loading departure procedures, we'll have some of these departure procedures will be VOR departures, and we would load in our VOR frequencies there.
Okay.
And we'd also set the course because we'll be using VORs to triangulate our position. From there, you've already got the radio frequency set, so that's good. We'll have ground tower. We'd also have ATIS in, and then if we needed Lone Star approach or departure, whoever we were going to be speaking to on that, we'd have that ready as well. And then from there, we're going to go to the airspeed indicator, make sure that that's 0. And then we'll check the attitude indicator. That needs to be plus or minus 5 and blue over brown. So we're at 2.5 right now. That's good. Wings level. Altitude, we want to be within 75 feet of field elevation. So we're at 650. We're within 5. We're good there. VSI is at 0. If it wasn't at 0, whatever the new 0, whatever the number is, that would be your new 0. Yeah, so if it was plus 100 right now, 100 would be our baseline. We'll go to the bottom left. You have your outside air temperature, 7 degrees. That's good. I also like to set up my PFD bearing option. So if you hit the PFD button right there and then hit bearing 1, that's good. That's going to put nav 1 data up there. So when we tune in a VOR, say like let's put 113.1 up there for Maverick VOR. Yep, and then switch it over to the active. Once we take off, it's going to put our bearing to that station in DME right there. So it just gives us another little resource as far as where we're at. And then click PFD again. We'll do bearing 2, and you can either put nav 2 there or GPS data. We'll do nav 2 for now. Well, actually, let's do GPS. There we go. So that would put like distance to next point, things of that nature in there. Cool. All right. So next, we would check we've got our clock. So our clock's working. We'd also check our timer too. Make sure that works. Hit start. Let that run for a second or two. Okay, good to go. We'll also need a standby for IFR flight. So standby in airspeed 0. Attitude also plus or minus 5. Blue over brown. And then altimeter 75 field elevation. And these two need to be within 50 feet of each other.
Okay.
So as you can see, they're 50 feet of each other. So we'd set the barometric pressure on both of those, obviously. Moving over here, I like to check revisionary mode. So in the event that our PFD or MFD fails in flight, make sure that revisionary mode works. That's just going to combine the PFD and MFD instruments all into one page. So just make sure that works. Not required, but a good habit to get into. And then we're going to come over here. And the plane, it's going to be slightly different. To check your GPS, but we'll come to auxiliary and then our GPS screen right here. And we would just, if we were going to a destination, we'd plug in the destination first and our arrival time and date, and then we would compute RAIM. And this is just going to make sure that RAIM is available all along our route of flight to our destination and time. And then if you click here, we have SBAS. We can see that WAS is engaged and active and turned on. So WAS is going to be a lot more precise than normal GPS and RAIM within 1 to 3 meters, and it'll allow us to shoot more precision-like approaches like LPVs. So that's our instrument cockpit cross-check. Any questions on that so far?
No, not so far.
Cool. So this will be a requirement before really the first thing we do, right? And then a couple things that we couldn't check right now are going to be our slip skids. So whenever we taxi out, we're going to make sure the ball goes to the opposite side that we turn. So when we taxi out to the runway, we'll do that. And we'll also check and make sure that our heading is aligned. So if we're taxiing to 1-6, we would just bug the opposite of that and make sure that 3-4 is going to be our heading whenever we start rolling out. Make sure our compass and all that works. Cool. Questions?
I don't think so.
All right. So now that we've done that, let's look here. So let's just taxi up to the beginning of the runway, and then we'll get ready to depart here. So you can take the controls and taxi us to...
I know this doesn't like zoom in as much or as well as in the plane, but for like a taxi diagram.
Yeah, it's all right. Just take Alpha right here all the way down to the end of the runway. Or go left. Be a little bit faster. Take us to 3-4. All right, so a couple things, right? Really one thing that's going to be different right out of the gate. Whenever we're taking off an IMC, we're going to be controlled the entire time by ATC. So we're going to want to make sure that we just follow their instructions. So typically they would give us a craft clearance and give us like a departure and all that. We haven't quite got there yet, so we're just going to keep it simple for now.
Okay.
And I'm going to say for now on departure, we're going to fly runway heading and we're going to climb up to 2000. So let's go ahead and get 340 bugged in 2000.
And 3000?
2000. So we're going to practice here. I'm going to clear you for takeoff. I'm going to have you climb up to 2000. We're just going to practice some standard rate climbs, turns, descents, things of that nature, just to get in the swing of things. One thing I always like to do on the ground as well is set up our autopilot to make sure so that as soon as we take off 400 AGL, we can turn on the autopilot per the POH. So as soon as we do that 400 AGL, we can hit the autopilot. So we'll go ahead and get that set up now. And then, yeah. In the plane, it'll start at 70 knots. Here, it starts at 0, so you have to just press it. It's literally 76 times. There we go. And then heading mode.
This one, probably.
No. That was altitude.
Dang it. Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, this one's setting right here.
Oh, I gotcha.
Cool. All right, so we got that set. So again, the name of the game here, just stay as far ahead of the airplane as we can.
Makes sense.
All right, so our takeoff call is going to sound a little bit different. Instead of VFR departure to the east, we're just going to say Addison Tower, thrust 555, ready for IFR departure. They'll come back and say, either hold short waiting for IFR clearance, or if your IFR clearance is good to go, they're going to go ahead and clear you for takeoff. And they're going to give you an assigned heading right out of the gate. So it's typically from Addison, it's going to be either runway heading or somewhere to the east, 07890, 100, something like that. So we'll do runway heading up to 2000 for now. A couple things before we take off. We want to try to maintain 500 feet per minute climb or greater. And any turn we make is going to be a standard rate turn. Standard rate turn is 3 degrees per second. So we've got these two white tick marks here on our heading indicator. That second white line is the 3-degree indicator. And that's going to be between 16 to 20 degrees on our turn coordinator up here. Or turn indicator up there. Cool. All right, thrust 555, Addison Tower, clear for takeoff, on departure, fly, runway heading up to 2000. Then you'd come back and say...
Thrust 555, clear for takeoff, runway heading up to 2000.
Yep. Once you get takeoff and established in this climb, especially in the airplane, but really in the sim because it's really sensitive, really focus on getting it trimmed out. That's going to be your best friend to maintain altitude and maintain a steady climb. The sim is really, really sensitive.
Yeah.
But again, we're kind of using that trim as our single pilot resource management system, so we're not having to constantly fight the airplane to stay at altitude. And then now eyes solely on that PFD there. So we're going to be doing our instrument cross check. So attitude, make sure that's good, and then check your airspeed, and then altitude, and then heading, and just keep doing that, bouncing back and forth. You either go in a circle, or I prefer the always center back on the attitude. So I'm attitude, airspeed, attitude, altitude, attitude, heading, and I just keep doing that every couple seconds, making sure everything's good. So now we would trim out the airplane so that we're not having to fight it to hold that pitch. Keep an eye on our altitude. Verbal call outs are also really helpful in instrument. So 200 feet, I would make a call out. 100 feet, I would make a call out, and then leveling off.
Okay.
This is going to be especially important whenever we are following instrument approach procedures, departures, and things of that nature. Because it's just going to be another reminder. All right, coming up from altitude, I need to get ready to level off.
Gotcha. So 200 feet.
200 feet, yeah. 100 feet. And then now I know at 1950 I need to start pushing that nose down and getting leveled off. Pitch, power, trim. Also, about anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds after you take off, tower is going to come back and say thrust 555 over to departure. And we'd say thrust 55 over to departure, and we'd switch over to Lone Star departure, which is 124.3, and we were going to check in with them. So go ahead and switch us over to 124.3. Good deal. And now we're just going to make a check-in call with them. So it's just going to be at Lone Star departure, thrust 555 at 2,000. Or if we were still climbing, we would say at 1,500 climbing to 2,000 or whatever altitude we'd have. So they would say that. We would say that to them. And then they're going to come back and either give us further instructions or just let us know radar contact. Depends on what's going on. So they're either going to say thrust 55 radar contact, or they might say thrust 555, fly heading 360, climb maintain 3,000.
Fly heading 360, climb maintain 2,000.
3,000. Yep. Really important to read back everything, because just like right there, if you say back the wrong thing, they're going to correct you. So it's important that we read back all instructions clearly. Go ahead and leave the autopilot off for now. Let's get used to hand flying. On the stage check, you're going to have to hand fly some stuff as well, including time turns. So it's just going to be, I want to really get you honed in on controlling the sim. And we'll get into the autopilot here in a little bit. Good.
100.
So keep that power in a little bit longer. Put the power back in. Pitch, power, trim. So we're going to pitch down, build up that airspeed to 95 or 100, and then slowly start walking that power back. If we pull the power as we're leveling off, we're going to need a higher angle of attack to maintain that altitude, and it's going to take us a lot longer to get trimmed and set up for cruise flight.
Gotcha.
There we go. Good, good. All right, thrust 555, right turn 090.
Right turn 090.
So on this turn, I want you to just focus on standard rate turn all the way over to the east. And staying coordinated and maintaining altitude. So we see how that pink diamond's right there? Just slightly, it's okay.
Gotcha.
There you go.
There.
Yeah, you see about 16 to 18 is going to be the sweet spot for that. Very good. Let out that turn nicely. Bit of a climb there. On this phase, we want to be plus or minus 100 feet of whatever our assigned altitude is, so you're holding that pretty nicely here, but just to be cognizant of that. All right, let's do a couple climbing turns and climbing descent. So thrust 555, right turn 180, climb maintain 4,000.
Right turn 180, climb maintain 4,000.
Very good. I like how you're bugging everything first. That's good. Get it bugged so you don't forget it, and then start working into it. And all the while, just checking that cross-check, attitude, airspeed, attitude, altitude, so on and so forth. Zoom this out a little bit.
So if we were on this right now and they were like handed us off to a center or whatever, and we would say like at 3,600 climbing 4,000.
Yep, any handoff is just going to be your check-in and your altitude.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So now you just add in a little bit of trim and you're cruised out. Like a glove. Okay, very good. Now let's do a descending turn. So, thrust 555. Actually, before I say that, approach is also always almost going to tell you which direction they want you to turn, left or right. And sometimes they might give you like a left turn that's a 270, but they might be doing it for spacing.
Right.
So make sure whenever they give you a vector, if they tell you a direction they want you to turn, that we're following that. It's not always going to be the one that makes the most logical sense.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so thrust 555, left turn to heading 360, descend and maintain 3,000.
Left turn to 360, so maintain 3,000.
Yeah, and watch that climb.
Is there like a vertical speed to shoot for in descents?
I would say 500 feet a minute standard. Good. All right, so let's talk momentarily about operations in turbulent conditions, because flying in clouds, pretty likely that you're going to encounter some bumps. So I don't know how well we'll be able to simulate that in here, but in the event that you do get into a turbulent situation, your goal is to just do your best you can to maintain heading and altitude. So you're going to want to stay at maneuvering speed, right, somewhere between like around 100 knots, and we're going to want to just kind of power through it, right? We don't want to get too slow because that's going to be a bad situation. We don't want to get too fast and overstress the aircraft. So 95 to 100 knots, maintain heading and altitude as best you can, and obviously try to get out of whatever situation you're in. Turbulence would be a PIREP situation as well, so we could call up approach, let them know where we're at, the time, our altitude, the type of plane we are, and let them know what we're encountering, so either light, moderate, or severe turbulence, and then, you know, see if they can help us out as far as getting out of whatever cloud we're in. So on IFR flight plans, you know, they're going to tell us where to go. We could be on a assigned route, we could be on a assigned heading, we could be flying direct to a fix, but that doesn't mean we can't deviate from that with permission, right? So if, you know, we're flying IFR and we see a cloud formation in front of us or a thunderstorm or something in front of us, we can't ask for like a deviation to go around that. You know, sometimes it could be a 50-mile deviation. Sometimes it could be like, hey, I need a little bit of latitude as far as making some turns to dodge some clouds if you can, right? So don't be afraid to ask for that. And oftentimes they're going to know, because they have radar, so they're going to be able to pick up on any type of convective activity as well. So typically they're going to be proactive as well, but in the event that, you know, it looks like the weather's getting bad in front of you, you're going to want to ask them to deviate ahead of time and just see if you can get around it somehow. It's funny that this is going off. Cool. Any questions so far?
No, that makes sense.
Cool. All right, well, that's flight lesson 1. So we'll wrap that up here.
I like the deviations, or just ask.
Yeah, people are oftentimes afraid to talk to approach, and you know, we're a team. You know, we don't work for them, they don't work for us. Like, they want to keep us safe, and we need to rely on them to help us out sometimes. So, one, you know, this kind of segues into a couple different topics. One, don't be afraid to talk to them. But two, like, if you're unsure of what to do, always ask for help.
Right.
Like, that's the main thing. People get afraid to ask for help, and then you get yourself in a more dangerous situation. Like, nobody's going to be mad at you if you ask for help. Now, if you're not following instructions or you do the wrong thing, that's where you can get in a situation where, one, it's unsafe, and two, you might get a pilot deviation simply for not following instructions. So, very important. If you're unsure of what that means, hey, you know, please clarify that request or repeat it or whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And then that kind of falls back onto like proper flight planning as well, making sure that you're up to speed on everything that could happen. You know, 'cause it's not uncommon where you go on a flight plan and then, you know, all right, well, we need to move you around. Your original route's no longer going to work, so we need you to deviate and go here, 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 here. So we got to make sure we know how to plug in Tango Airways, Victor Airways, and all that, which we'll get into in later lessons.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. And if you're interested in flight training like this, go ahead and give us a call or visit thrustflight.com.